Orlando, Florida, home to Disney World. This is where dreams come true, right? But what's outside those magical walls? Just how safe is the Orlando area as a whole? What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Don Sprinkle. We're living in Orlando, Florida, and today we're talking about your safety. If you're already living in this area, or maybe you're planning to relocate to the Orlando metro area, this is something that you're going to want to think about, and we're going to talk about if there's anything that you might need to be concerned about, or at least to be aware of. So stick around and let's get into what you're going to want to know. And P.S. if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, it'd be awesome if you did. All right, so one of the questions that my team and I get asked quite frequently by people and families that we're assisting relocating to the area is, what areas are safe? Is Orlando safe? One of the things I want to mention right off the bat is that as real estate agents, it's important for us as realtors to treat all communities and areas equally, all right? We have a responsibility and really a duty to treat it that way. We're prohibited from doing what is known as steering, or called steering in our industry, and it's really our goal and our objective to help provide you and anybody else out there with as much information as they possibly need in order to make the best decision for them when the time is right. It's also important that you do your own research and make sure that whatever areas that you're looking in are in accordance or fit with your unique individual needs. So as you've probably heard me mention in other videos, I've lived nearly my entire life in the state of Florida. Aside from a few years away from college, I got the experience of the snow and the cold weather. They can keep it. I've lived my entire life in Florida, and I've lived in different parts of the state. I grew up in South Florida, and then for about 10 years I also lived along the coast in the Daytona Beach area. Now for almost the last 7 years we have lived in the Orlando, Central Florida area. And before we dive into some of the specifics regarding the Orlando area, I will tell you right off the bat, spoiler alert, I'm gonna pick Orlando hands down every day given the choice. Especially now as a father with kids, a family, there's other things and other factors that I take into consideration that maybe I didn't think about before that I do now at this stage in this season in my life. The reality is that Orlando is a big city, and every big city has its quirks and challenges. Does Orlando have crime? Absolutely it has crime. But let's take a full look and let's try to balance that with some perspective. One of the reasons you might see certain crimes or certain crime rates in the Orlando area as being higher than average is that we are a major tourist destination. And the truth is that tourists can be prime targets for crime, especially property crime. Tourists are in an unfamiliar place, they're easily distracted, and a lot of times they have more valuables on display than maybe a normal resident would. So yeah, that type of environment, that area specifically, is going to possibly attract certain criminals. Unfortunately, that is a reality. Even though some statistics may state that maybe property crime, for example, is higher than the national average in the Orlando metro area, a lot of that can be concentrated to some of those high tourist destination areas. It's also important to understand the difference between property crime and violent crimes and how that's being calculated as well. While we might have a higher than average property crime in some of those areas that we discussed, you're going to find that the violent crime rates are typically lower than the national averages or averages compared to some other Florida cities. You can go on the Orlando police website and double check this, but I'm pretty sure the last time I read, our most recent article I read at least, was stating that the violent crime rate in Orlando is actually down over the last 2 years. But the important thing to remember, no matter if you're a local resident or if you're a tourist, somebody that's just visiting, is just always pay attention to your surroundings and stay vigilant about where you're at and who you're around. Another area that you're probably going to want to make sure that you're staying vigilant is the downtown area. And I say that because I would say that about almost any major city in their downtown area. There have been some things over the last year in the paper about some concerns about downtown and people's safety, and at least from the outside looking in, it does seem like the city is taking steps towards trying to get rid of that element, or further bring those numbers down and dispel that concern again. They've increased code enforcement, they've enhanced lighting in certain areas, they've established new rules for some of the nightclubs and the bars downtown. There's a back and forth with the city and some of the business owners in that regard, but from the city standpoint, they're putting a lot of things in place right now that is aimed at patron safety and resident safety and people that are down there so they can have a good time. I think what's important to remember though is that the Orlando metro area is more than just the theme parks or even the downtown Orlando area. The Orlando metro consists of over 4,000 square miles and 5 counties. There are neighborhoods and towns of all kinds and shapes and sizes for all kinds of different people in this area. We also have some of the most coveted neighborhoods in towns and cities in not just Florida, but the entire nation. Baldwin Park, for example, it sits on the north end of Orlando, kind of borders along Winter Park. That is one of the best master planned communities in the 21st century, I'd say, in the state of Florida. A lot of great walkability. You're close to the downtown area. Here's a fun fact for you. They have actually been nationally recognized in some publications for their trick-or-treating in the neighborhood. Kids actually come from other neighborhoods to go trick-or-treating there. Dr. Phillips on the west side of Orlando, as well as Windermere, just to its north. That's another great example as well. A lot of professionals attracted to that area, as well as some celebrities over the years, including Shaquille O'Neal. We can even take it to the east side of Orlando and talk about Lake Nona. The Lake Nona area is quietly, or maybe not so quietly, becoming the hub for the medical industry in Central Florida. There's been a ton of new construction over there. It's attracting lots of professionals, lots of families. Aside from the multiple state-of-the-art medical facilities, the city leadership has really taken an initiative to promote Lake Nona as eco-friendly. They've been named in numerous publications as one of the hottest up-and-coming cities in not just Florida, but the entire nation. Winter Park, we've done a couple videos over there. Let's not forget about Seminole County either, right? Which has some of the best rated public schools in the entire state. Lake County is a bit farther out west, but that is becoming a more and more popular option as well, especially because of its lower cost of living. The average home price point out that way is a little bit cheaper than what you're going to find closer to Orlando, and the property taxes, of course, are going to be lower than over in Orange County and closer to Orlando as well. But if you look hard enough, if you look long enough, you're going to find a ton of different articles with varying opinions on what it's like in Orlando and how the crime is or just how safe it is. I think comparing Orlando with similar cities is a good start, as well as speaking to or watching videos like this from people that are living here, that are locals and that really know the area. My team and I are working with people every single day who are relocating to and from the Orlando metro area, and if you have questions, we'd love to be a real estate resource for you as well. And even if you just have a question or want to make a comment, let us know what you think. Drop a comment, send us a DM, however you like. And again, please smash that subscribe button if you have not already. We certainly appreciate it. And until next time, I'm Don Sprinkle. We're living in Orlando, Florida.